Thank you, Madam Chair. The ACDP acknowledges the fact that distribution of land is closely linked to whether or not economic development actually addresses the scourge of poverty in a society, and is acutely aware of the need and for the importance of a successful land reform process in South Africa. The limitation clause that we are debating today in terms of speeding up land reform provides for all rights in the Bill of Rights to be limited in terms of a law of general application, as these limitations, however, must be reasonable and justifiable in an open and democratic society based on human dignity, equality and freedom. It could well be part of the solution. The ACDP notes former Deputy Chief Justice Musanege's reference to the property clause as radical in both spirit and letter, and his comment that government has so far failed to test the radical transformational reach of the idea of compensation for expropriation being based on the just and equitable principle and not exclusively on the basis of market value. Now, the ACDP was encouraged by Honourable Cronin's caution that expropriation without restraint and compensation will be exploited, and that we just need to look across the Limpopo to see who are the main victims when this happens. The same black majority who have been oppressed in the past. Black workers, the urban and rural poor, the chronic food shortages, the skyrocketing food prices. Now, while the concept of revenge seems sweet to some, it will be a bittersweet pill if past injustices are not addressed in the manner that ensures growth and jobs. South Africa, we are told, needs growth of 6% of GDP a year, plus increased investment and employment if we want to significantly reduce poverty. Interventions that undermine property rights will only create instability and discourage investment, the very investment needed to create opportunities for employment and entrepreneurial activity to stimulate the economy. The ACDP view is that fair compensation would demand that market value is an important consideration, but must be weighed against factors listed in the Constitution, which would include the history of the property and the purpose for which it is required. In addition to retaining the safeguards in the Constitution for all who live in South Africa, the ACDP believes it would be wise to have the issue of compensation dealt with by a dedicated valuations court to assess and sign off on all compensation linked to forced expropriation in line with the Constitution. Protection of property rights is essential to individual and collective prosperity. It is also essential for political freedom, and we appeal to this House to ensure that they are not eroded. Apartheid restrictions on African land and home ownership were among the most damaging aspects of past racial discrimination. Since these restrictions began to crumble in 1975 and were finally abolished in 1991, African ownership of houses, land and other assets has finally been able to grow and has done so exponentially, and we must ensure that growth is not undermined. Thank you.
Thank you very much.